This lesson is on using a simple select statement. Now, let's deal with a very simple select statement. I'm going to cut and paste that into here. The keyword is select. The other keyword is from. That's the minimum any select statement can have. You must have the select word and the from word. Now, you have to have something coming after the select, and the simplest thing to put there is an asterisk, sometimes just called a star. What that says to the database is, show me all the columns in the table that's specified after the from clause. So this is affectionately called a select list. We're going to later put more than one specific column in there instead of all of them. But that's the select list. After the from clause, we put the table name that we wish to see. Now that can get more complicated, and we will do that later in the class where we select information from more than one table that we join together. But for right now, we're going to keep it simple. So notice how I put this down on 2 lines. It would have been pretty easy to put on 1 line, but I find it easier to read if we keep the separate select statement clauses on separate lines. Select list, from, and there's more clauses that I'll be showing you as we go along. So let's run this, submit SQL statements. So here we are. We get the return from the authors table of all this data. White, Johnson, White, that's Social Security, phone, da-da-da. And we go all the way down, we see there's 23 authors that we have in this particular database. My tool over here, the MySQL interface for WAMP, that is in your working files, keeps track of the history and puts it at the top of whatever we entered last. Now, I'm going to try something else. I'm going to say I don't want to see all those columns. I want to just see a few of them. Last name, first name, city, state from author. So let's try that. I hit the submit button, and now I get that information for the authors. I don't see the Social Security number anymore. I got all the authors. I still have 23, so I get everything on the table. Now let's say I want to restrict that further. I want to see only the authors from California or Tennessee or Oregon or something like that. I can restrict this even further. So I restricted the columns. Now let's restrict the rows. And the way we do that is with the where statement. So I'm going to add the where clause after the from clause. Make sure there's a space here afterwards so it doesn't all run together. Same with after the state. Make sure there's a space just to be sure. Now here I'm asking just to see the rows where state equals Kansas. Submit the button. I've only got 1 author in Kansas. How about in Oregon? OR. 1 in Oregon. California. Try that. Well, I've got a bunch. I've got 15 of the 23 authors live in California. Now, notice that I've been capitalizing the data. Many databases in the real world are set up to be case sensitive. In other words, looking for a small case, CA, would not find data that was stored as uppercase. But this MySQL database that we're working with is case insensitive. It doesn't care. So I still should find this. If I hit submit, I still find the values. Likewise, if I go back and put in OR for Oregon, small case, I still find the uppercase OR. So you don't need to be concerned about that here. Now, on the where clause, I can look at something else. I could look at the city. I don't have to look at just the state. And I could put in Los Angeles. Run it, and I don't have anybody in Los Angeles. Notice I got no rows back when I put in Los Angeles. Number of rows is 0. Remember that that is a correct answer to the question I asked. I said, show me the authors where the city is Los Angeles. And the correct answer is there are no authors in Los Angeles. Some people think when they get 0 rows back, that means they did something wrong. Maybe not. Maybe that's the right answer to the question you asked. Put in Oakland. Let's see if we have anybody there. We do. We have apparently 5 authors in Oakland. Now, it's a good practice to get into putting a semicolon at the end of your statement. It'll work in this interface without a semicolon if you have just one statement. If you have more than one, it'll run, but it has to have the semicolon to be sure. For instance, if I take this select, I'm going to copy and paste that into here. I now have two select statements and the semicolons there to end them. I hit the submit, and it ran the first one, and then it ran the next one down below and is showing me the results. So you can do that. All right, that ends the first lesson in using a simple select statement.